this guy. So London, I'm actually going to start it and let it run. You're just going to let me know if it locks up, so you know how this guy works. Actually, we're going to hand this one to Michaela first, because you're going to demonstrate with the lasers, because you know how they work.
Great.
Yeah, check you out. Lasers, yes, absolutely lasers. This is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. Yes, so we're recording everything, Shannon, so we're going to remember something, right? Lasers, like I said. So lasers, in a nutshell, we're using these because we're using these with the camera that I just handed to Michaela, because you can't see the lasers until something passes through it. The whole point of this is to capture motion while we're actually videoing everything, the location that we're going to. Now, in the event we capture something in the middle of this, I'll be able to take that still and give you a screenshot of what we actually caught. We're going to be using two different styles of lasers. The second one is red squares. With the red squares, if we capture something here, we'll take the screenshot from the video, put it in 3D software, and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with the measurements. So, this thing I've had for about a year now, and the software has not been able to take this slightly more blurry than normal picture of things we've actually captured. So hopefully tonight, London will keep things very still, and she'll be able to capture something really cool for us. That is not an always in the moment type mentality. It's always about the video review. And because London has done this dozens of times with me, that's why those points are hurt. I know everybody gets excited about the lasers, but once you get going with them, it's like, okay, not seeing anything. Like, well, we gotta watch the video tomorrow. So let's get into spirit boxes.
I'm stopping his stuff.
Safe word?
Wait, go across the street. I'm just going to annoy every single human.
Spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. This one is going to be like the white noise you hear on your TV shows, and then Zach Bagans shows you the crap he thinks you heard in the middle of the screen. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time, only mine are slowed down on purpose. We're using a slightly different method because none of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time. This is slowed down to allow the radio chatter to come through. Song lyrics, DJs, commercials, whatever we can make out, it's a 50-50 shot. We can tie to the location, a person in history that we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. This one in particular is going to record the entire session for us. So, Lorri, as you're listening to this, you're going to be the only person to hear it because you're going to have an earbud in. So it is recording the entire session. I will spot check it tomorrow morning as I'm going through the data, but I'm also going to be writing down everything you hear in real time. So that way all of the notes are going to be in there, because some of the things you hear I might miss in real time or when I'm doing your spot check. So again, whatever you hear out of this guy, remember you're listening for those like song lyrics and DJs and commercials and that kind of mentality. I do not want earbuds back. Your earwax is your own souvenir. Congratulations, you win. So you'll have to undo the twist tie there, and your volume button is right where my finger is. I'm going to make sure you push all the way down so you don't get blasted when you put it in your ear. I do have two of these. So Heather, this one's going to go to you. This one is not going to record. So I will be relying on you and what you hear in real time to be able to write down to add to the notes. Again, your earwax is your own. You get to keep that. Undo the twist tie. Volume button is a wheel at the top. I'm making sure it's all the way down, and you are good to go. Most people work with just one earbud, so that way they can actually share the other one with somebody else in between spaces or while we're investigating. Let's see. The next spirit box works a little bit differently. It's going to sweep through the FM and AM radio stations at the same time, and it's going to attempt to take out the white noise that is coming through Miss Lorri and Heather's spirit boxes. So, and only give us words. So Kelsea, this one has been about 75% accurate so far. Part of the reason why I'm handing this one to you, so that way both of you can listen. Not to mention, this one doesn't record, but he has audio recording. You broke your camera already. Something must have happened on, like I had to turn it on, so it's going to take minutes to come back on. See, the only thing you need to worry about is this guy is actually going to give you about 10 to 12 terms through the entire 2-hour time frame. The top is the blinking lights. On the right-hand side is a mute button. It's the only button there. I'm going to turn the mute button on for now, just so I can kind of get through the rest of this. But again, that one's going to go to you, so that way you guys can both use it. Alright, go ahead and hit the red light. spirit box works completely different than the rest of them. It's going to give us a list of words from time to time in the center of the screen. So this is going to replace what you guys would normally see as an obelisk on your TV shows. So those words are going to be saved into a list with timestamps next to them. Last night we had 82 terms show up. Now, this thing is a phone app. I'm going to tell you right now, 80% of what comes out of this thing is absolute garbage. It doesn't mean anything. It's meant to try to scare us. It's the other 5 to 20% that might be relatable to our location, a person, something going on with one of us. Same principle as all the others. So again, Sam, Sarah, and Shannon, did I get those right? So, Sam, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. So basically, I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the word list. But again, just kind of keep an eye on it, and you go use it just like a normal spirit box like everybody else. We'll talk more about it at the next location. This spirit box is going to be open air as well because the earbud piece of it doesn't really make it amplified so much. So, with that being said, you're going to have to control the volume, which is on the side of the ball speaker right here. It doesn't record either, so it's kind of a roll down to turn the volume down, and then obviously turn it down now, and then you roll it up, and just hold it there and wait for the volume to go down. So, London and I will be able to work more with you on that one. That way you can actually work with, two of you together to see if they're actually going to be able to sync in any way, shape, or form. Let's see. Where do we want to go here? Mika? You're going to be double-fisted, buddy. So, you're going to be doing, because you're going to be helping listen in on the other spirit box, I'm giving you two more simple jobs. You guys have all seen these on television before. So these are basic EMF meters. We're going to be using this to debunk things ahead of the game. So all you got to do is let me know what colors you see. But with this, it's a digital camera. I just want you be very still with it because there's no flash on there. Otherwise, all the pictures will be blurry. This is a digital camera. Just take hundreds and hundreds of pictures. The shoot button is all the way to the right. The next one is the power button. So if you don't see anything on your screen at that point, just turn it back on again. So there you go. Hundreds and hundreds of photographs. Then you get to carry the bag. Okay, perfect. You're going to be another multitasker. It's okay. They're all easy. Don't worry about it. Good. So, this guy is another EMF detector, but it's a lot more accurate. So these things are going to measure basically signals from wiring, parking meters, those kind of things. Your big numbers, anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on. 2.5. The bottom number is ambient temperature. In the event that Joel finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly. I just like to have that number at the ready. You don't have to stare at it. And last but not least, we won't always use this portion of it, but it's really fun in certain areas. It's a REM pod, meaning it's a motion sensor. If something gets close to the antenna, it will go off. I'm not touching it right now. So it's going to give us different colors, different sounds. We'll talk more about that at one of the other locations when we're ready to use it. So for now, just get used to those red numbers on your screen. And yeah, you guys emptied the bag. Good job. All right, everybody, make this in charge. Let me know what happens. Okay, don't go anywhere. So, you guys are all geared up. London, did that thing lock up on us yet? I still see it blinking. So
we're good.
Yes. Oh, the one that's recording too. Okay. So you have to try it now. Because there's a button at the top. Okay, you are good? Alright, perfect. Yeah, just let me know if it gets a little bit more touchy later on. Of course, you're going to see as we're bouncing around different areas, you're going to have to grab me or London. London knows how to fix this here, so. Alright.
Fixing what now?
Why we start here, of course. What's that?
I'm fixing what now?
The thermal.
Oh, yeah.
Just pop that in my pocket.
Yes, it is.
So, of course, we start here for a reason. This place is humble. Big guns. Would have got that text, Kelsea, you know that. Did you check your phone? Just curious. You don't have to now. I'm going to tease you until you do, just so you know. No pressure.
Oh, I think it's started over.
This place behind me used to be owned by a football player. His name is Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will do my best to slow down on specific key words. Mainly because all 6 spirit boxes are in play tonight. Now, obviously, the keywords here are going to be 47, New York, Giants, and anything relatable to a bar or the name John. But anyway, this was his place. And he used to sit in the back of the bar and let the bartender know if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not, basically. One night, two guys come in, they're not old enough to drink, so he has the bartender throw them out. They come back the next night, they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, and he gets up and just starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. He gets up after being the only one that's been shot, by the way, goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the two guys on the floor, and ambulance. Now, normally I tell you that somebody died in a building, you're automatically thinking of some tragic death, but yet the story I just told you, there is no death. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. The legend is still there. Here's what goes on with that bullet hole. Even if the renovation of Big John's filled it in, Big John's blood is still inside this building. People that sit in the front tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. And I never know if we're going to or not because the ghosts are not on the payroll. But I will tell you in 3 years of giving this tour, I've yet to have a night where something did not come through. But if anybody feels any of those symptoms that I just mentioned, headache, nausea, or dizziness, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair to everybody? Again, that's probably the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long because it deals with your own health. So, big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another history tour, now you do. It's a big anomaly for us because we're South Carolina. We're not supposed to have earthquakes even though we had one in the middle of the state today, did we not? 3.4 right in the middle of the state. Yeah, I think it's 7,800 people without power right now. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, the earthquake broke a piece of that white mantle off the side of the, or it's actually the front of the building because it's wrapped around the front as well. Hit somebody in the back of the head and killed them. You can see his ghost in the middle of the night on East Bay Street. Now, I said allegedly along with that because I have no proof. It's just a great segue so none of you are thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting? Kayla, you ready to go ghost hunting? She's been waiting for this all week. So, let's head up this way.
Is the screen frozen?
The thermal went up again. Bring it up this way. Let me see if I can't fix that. Let's see what we got going on. I heard a jackal thing. It needed to make another rotation. I'm going to give you the cue to unmute. Right now, we are close to the big red barn where the horses are, and they don't like the white noise, which is why we use earbuds with a lot of the spirit boxes now. So, welcome to the big red barn lot. Obviously, I just mentioned there's horses in here. You guys can probably smell them. I cannot. I'm down here 7 nights a week, so they're immune to it. The history here is really simple, just so I can show you more things about your devices. Hopefully, I'll answer most of your questions, and then you'll be able to answer or ask more one-on-ones at the next locations when we start to spread out a little bit. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is the same big red barn that held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. It's all the history I have, 1860s to 1920s. So, we're going to talk about spirit boxes first. Everybody wants to ask the same question every time they get a communication device. Think of a Ouija board. What do you think that question might be? You guys, all three of you said something.
Name.
Name?
Anybody there?
Is anybody here? Is usually the first question. Now, Heather over here hears the word no. That means somebody's here. They answer. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. Certain locations, I will give you questions that you can ask specifically just to kind of get you guys started, but you're going to notice that none of them are going to be yes and no questions. So you're going to go after things that are in specifics and details. Even if you're a skeptic among the group, what do you have on your word list?
Let me out. Before that, I had trust, like right when you walked up to the building.
Again, it's meant to try to scare us. Yeah.
The horses are trying to.
Well,
send us a message.
Of course, skier also knows they're being fed here. And if they're going to be going back to the pasture very, very soon, they don't work for very long. So, yeah, they don't keep them here for very long before they send them back to the pasture. So, but with that said, oh, that was right on cue. We're going to ask questions you guys already know the answers to. In this location, for an example, this is how I would normally train somebody how to use a spirit box that's never used one before. So, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because we have the digital spirit box word list. She doesn't have to listen to it. So, the word red might not be available to those that are listening to song lyrics and DJs that are hoping to convey messages back to us. But the word fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. The color of the big red barn, blood. Good with that. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there's at least 2 or more happenings going on with devices to be able to verify what's going on. Let me give you another example. Let's say we have the word art on... Sam? Okay, I'm getting Sam and Sarah mixed up. I got the Shannon down. I know, it's the 3 S's. So let's say Sam's word list actually has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything to this location by itself. And Sarah actually hears the number 40 on hers. So with that said, together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see how we're going to be putting clues together all night long? Again, a lot of these people are going to be discussing tonight all have the same names, Charleses and Georges and that kind of mentality. We need to know who the hell we're talking to. And without that secondary clue, I'm going to say that term a lot to you guys tonight. Secondary clue, that's a great start. Let me see if something else comes out of it. I want to be able to verify it. So again, I'm not here to make anything up. I want to see what's actually going on with you. So that's the whole point of this. Cameras, I think London already knows how to use those lasers, but in a nutshell, London will be standing anywhere between 2 to 4 feet away from Michaela, trying to film through the lasers. So again, she's going to be looking, when I'm watching this video, I'm looking for things from obviously the box to the ground, not necessarily on the ground. So Michaela, you'll have to shoot through it. Obviously, you're getting the gist of that, so that's good. We don't want to ever cross the street. Why? Yeah, back to the special Joe, but it does work here. Basically, London, go ahead and cross them. Basically, what she just did was she just created a much skinnier space for something to actually pass through. So that's why we try to keep it spread out. Right? So your lasers. All right, Joel, you're going to try to do 2 things for us. First off, there's 3 different cameras in play tonight. We're going to be in certain spaces where there's going to be
where the tip is to where the film is, so between the lasers.
Walking through, just because they don't want to be filmed and they don't want their cars to be filmed. However, I do want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times. We are going to be the warmest thing out here, no matter how humid it is, and that's going to give us the array of color on the screen. Much easier to find cold spots there. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The blue dot will default to the sky when it's in view, looking for a surface. So again, just try to keep it out in space that's going to be impossible. Try your best. All right, Shannon, I'm going to have to work with you at the next stop because that's where we're going to be using that motion sensor. I think everybody has a basic gist of how the devices are going to work. Have we seen any colors show up on your K2 meter at all? No. It's probably from the parking meters. So again, if you had like a slight green to a yellow, that's probably from the parking meters over there by the side. All right, perfect. Any other questions at this location before we go deep dive into some much further history than ponies and football players? All right, let's do this. We're going to go up this way. Everybody's trained. Y'all know what you're doing now, right? No more questions. No, I'm kidding. I feel so bad. Like, you got so bit up.
Thank you.
That one's coming off. You're going to have to fight.
All of them are coming. So how was the tour? Good thing it's over then, right? Huh? Good thing it's over then, right? Yeah, it was I almost got them.
So everybody can kind of circle around. Talking to the 2 of you. Okay. All right. Kind of played in here tonight. Lots of cars parked. Obviously, we're coming up on 4th of July. So, welcome to your first space at the parking lot. Congratulations, you made it.
But it smells good.
I told you I was going to be taking you guys to some weird spaces. So first off, Spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the Red Barn. I am going to withhold information on purpose, so that way you guys can actually have genuine experiences with your spirit boxes. Is that fair? Again, I'm not here to generate subliminal messages.
Okay.
So with that said, where the heck are we? This is the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant. It came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. Just so everybody kind of has a layout of the land. So who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Now you guys know why I look for secondary clues. 3 Charleses, 1 location. But the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than anybody here. So we're going to move on. Is that fair? Yeah, I think so. So let's talk about Eliza. Way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, just so you know. So the reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they got married. So she got married because her father over in England thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home. He wants to see him one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. So it's 1744. You don't marry somebody in 1744 because you need a green card because we're not even a country yet. She did marry this guy out of love and remained a widow even after his death. If you remember, he's over double her age when they married. He died first. I'm going to wait for that to happen.
Someone's dying.
Welcome to the ghost hunt, everybody. Somebody's
Making
dying.
ghosts.
So we're making ghosts here tonight. That was funny. Where did I leave off? Oh, Dad was dying, right? She was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts to this space. You guys have been in Charleston for at least an hour or so. Some of you actually live very close. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Several of you have it on tonight because that's how we still use it. And when she got these indigo seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. Once she figured it out and experimented with it, she calls her father up and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with these indigo seeds. So now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. It's a pretty big deal for us. That's Eliza's business, the boring stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why everybody's here. So we're going to go through kind of a series of questions with every single set of spirit boxes. Let's see. Kelsea, we're going to start with you. Your spirit box, I want you to ask what happened to the mansion once we separate, obviously. And then if you get an answer, find out when that happened. Again, you're going after specific dates that actually occurred. So hopefully you get the answers to that. Let's see. As far as your spirit box, Sam, now that I got it, I keep picturing you whispering the one syllable instead of Sarah. So with that, I want you to kind of stick to, there's 2 different wives named Eliza, by the way. This Eliza I just talked to you about was the second wife named Eliza. The first wife, Eliza, died that first year, that same year that he married the second one. So she died in January of 1744. 5 months later, he marries the one who plants the indigo. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. See if you can figure out which Eliza you're dealing with by asking about the maiden name. You can also ask anything else that I'm giving out if you'd like, because that spirit box has 36,000 terms in it. You might get something else. As far as yours, Sarah, I want you asking about the children. However, there's kind of a heated thing here. You can ask how many children they had and what their names are. After that, leave it alone. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear too much, all activity will stop. It's almost pretty much a guarantee. The death. I want both of you focused on the death. I want to see what comes out of those 2 red spirit boxes. The 2 of you can ask how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, again, very specific questions. I want to see if those answers can come out of anything. Keep in mind, all of you with spirit boxes, those answers can go anywhere. We also have 2 cameras and my audio tonight. That's 9 pieces of communication. If you're asking about the house and the answer you're not getting anything, that means it might show up on another spirit box or even my audio. You never know where it's going to go, which is why I like to use so many different pieces of communication. As far as the EMF goes, basically you're going to be looking for those hotspots, Mika, so wherever that thing starts to blink, that's where the 2 of you need to stop and start asking some questions. That's basically how that's going to go. Have you gotten any readings over here at all yet?
Yellow.
You gotten a yellow so
I've
far?
gotten a bunch of yellows.
Okay. And then Shannon, have you gotten anything on yours yet?
It just says 2.3, but that was it.
Okay, so that's pretty low. I'm not going to record that one down yet. I do have to work with Shannon with his device first, so that way he knows how to use that motion sensor. Those of you with cameras, we're not going to be filming cars, going in between cars, anything like that. So just, I know it kind of... Wow, ambulance too.
Someone's really dying.
I was waiting for some kind of elaborate something coming out of them. But again, please don't go in between vehicles. People get really funny about these cameras and around their cars. But this is a big hotspot for paranormal activity, so let's go see if we can find some. Nice slow movements out of you, sir. Make sure you're recording. But just nice slow movements. It makes for a much nicer video.
3.
Got a 3 at this point. All right, perfect. So everybody else, let's spread out. Lorri, you can hang out with me and Shannon if you want to, just so you can learn more about that too. But London will be available for any kind of questions if you need us. Oh, yeah, definitely get your unmuted and nice slow movement. Walk around. I'm looking for the hot feeling bar.
So what are we looking for? How do we know?
There's going to be something in the camera when he watches it later.
Okay.
Let's go over here. Got it. So basically you're looking like in here.
Okay. Yeah.
Not at the squares.
What?
Not at the squares.
Oh, not at the squares?
No. Like where my hand at.
Like that?
Like where my hand at. Over here. Over here. Ta-da! You're seeing stuff.
Wait, do you want me to not at the squares?
No. Like in between here
Uh-huh.
and the floor.
Oh,
In between.
okay. Like that? Like it's like...
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to back up to get both of it in frame?
Sure.
You just have to sit here and wait. Huh?
So we can talk about anything you want, Saturday.
Oh, this is interesting.
Enjoying life?
Yeah. I'm really enjoying life, actually. This is nice.
Making sure it didn't freeze, Saturday.
Is it good?
Yeah, we good.
We good. Where is it? So can it will it not still going?
It can still pick stuff up, because I mean the lights up here,
Uh-huh.
they're basically going, so if it makes the camera like see stuff, so, but we can't see the light other than like right there. So if you turned it around, you'd be able to see 20 little dots up there. And that's why you got the little handle things and you go.
Oh, is that where I'm supposed to have it?
Yeah. It gets heavy though. So.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I like how he handed me the one thing I don't know how to use.
Pretty good.
That's the one thing I don't know how to use.
This one? Well,
Yeah.
it's probably because it's like a two-person thing, so you kind of have to stick.
Alright, Heather, come and follow up with you.
Not trying to get run over, Shade.
Not trying to get from you. Don't do it right here.
That was in my face.
You can put it like right over there. Yeah.
I feel like like I'm eating the dino nuggies again with my hand like this.
The dino nugget. Just aggressively.
Oh, I know ditches. Hold up. We're gonna lose the green, okay?
Alright, you're good, you're good.
Okay. Try to find a button.
Dude, I don't know. No, man.
Oh, great. Shot A.
You're doing good.
You hearing any ghosts?
No, I don't know if it was somebody's shadow. Wait. No, I definitely saw something. It was on the camera though, not from there.
So how does your light work like that?
How did what?
How does the whole
Like, see?
yeah, that whole thing go?
They yap about random shit all the time, dude. Like, I'll be in a Walmart aisle and they're like, wow, the cranes are cool. I'm like, dude, shut up. No, I'm just kidding. It's a little bit spooky sometimes because, especially near graveyards, like, I hate going in there because you can literally, like, you can't see it, but it's like an image in your head that it paints, basically. And, like, you can just, like, see, if you know what I mean? Like, it paints images in your mind of where they're at the time. And, like, when you ask questions, the answers come, like, immediately. Like, it's, like, from the back of the spot of your brain that, like, you wouldn't even think normally of. But honestly, it's pretty cool because you can communicate with a lot of people that's past. It's a little bit spooky tonight, though.
So you're not seeing Miss Eliza?
No, I did technically saw that. I'm pretty sure.
You sure?
Through the camera, I didn't. That's why I wanted to go over there.
I kind of heard him say London Rails. He's like, I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
Okay. Eliza? Can you say something? Eliza. Eliza. I know. I can't. Bark at it. Bark, bitch.
Bark, bitch.
Ooh, where you going? Okay, we going to the room.
Let him. I can't wait till that goes back on the footage because I want to see if it wasn't with it. If it wasn't, but no.
You know, we tell him now, and then he knows to look at it.
Oh, really?
That is trying to eliminate all of that waste. So, yeah, there's only going to be like 10 or 12 times you're going to be able to take out all that. Don't be too disappointed if you see the space and you haven't heard anything yet. It's just not empty here, it's just whatever it might be. So, just listen closely. When it shows up, trust me.
Yeah. My camera saw something.
Where?
Where over there?
Like in the camera or visual?
Camera.
What'd you get?
It was like, it looked like a walking shadow, like right across it.
It's funny, somebody last night thought they saw shadows up here, and they could not find it in the video because somebody was in the way. But I came like around that corner, and they're like, "Where did you just come from?" And I was like, "I came from over there." And they're like, "Yeah, there was a shadow right there." So we kind of replayed it out, and nothing showed up.
That's what it, yeah. Well, because I can also like sense a lot of stuff over there.
Very cool, very cool. So as long as you're recording, we'll be able to. Let's make sure we're going to save that recording. We don't lose it. So what I'm going to do, just hold it, just like you normally. So that way we know it's going to be there.
Okay.
Because it's going to record in small segments of like 10 minutes.
Okay. So do you want me to do that? Just like say I thought I saw something or something. Do you want me to make sure I save it and then restart the?
Yeah. I mean that would be ideal.
Okay.
Because I'm going to do it every time. So if you obviously do it before I get to it, then that would be perfectly fine. All right.
Let's go find some more gold. I think that's it. That's fine.
Yeah. You can go wherever you want.
Can I have some more water too? If you're almost, oh no, you can have the rest. I don't want to drink it. Huh? Yeah. No, I don't want to drink water, dude. You want to do it like right there?
Over there?
Yeah.
Let me use the laser.
Yeah.
Make sure I don't shoot my face this time.
Okay. You wanna move back in that area? Wait, am I supposed to get it from this way? Oh, okay.
As long as you can still see, like, where I put that.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm up for him.
What kind?
It's the gold one, I think.
Ooh.
Somebody will set it. Just because there's people coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing any other shuttles?
I don't know where. I'm pretty sure it's right in this area. Up there by the wall.
My dad's gonna listen to this like, what the actual?
So it has audio.
Yeah.
So like, oh, so questionable.
I'm gonna talk to them
Oh,
about
like,
this.
oh, why so?
No, we're using a British accent. Let's do it, Eliza.
Please come.
Bring breakfast.
Breakfast.
Some baked beans for breakfast.
Baked beans.
Oh no, I heard something. Did you hear that?
I sure did.
You went from British to
I
country.
sure did.
Right behind the church.
Okay, that makes it even.
Bless you. Anyway, how's your like go?
Should we go right there?
Right there?
That's alright. Just over
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I just don't know where I'm walking.
Okay. We can find a light flat right over there.
I'm only going to the one, okay?
Okay.
Ghosty guy got caught up in my bag and I can't seem to undo him. Alright, so we'll hang out over here so Lorri can keep her spear boxes that it's telling me like we need to hang around for long periods of time. So again, this is really light for this location, just so you guys know. We did get a couple of EMF readings. I went all the way to 7.9, I believe was the highest number. That's a pretty low reading for this location, just so you guys know. But I will tell you a little bit, for those of you with video cameras, feel free to stop them.
When I'm walking down here.
You scared you going trip?
Just because I'm clumsy. Like that. But I didn't say nothing, it might not happen. You can find them.
You got juice.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You hanging on? You in my hand?
yeah.
Okay. Let's see what's about. What is it?
It was, commentable.
Ooh.
Alright, let's go down the line. Bear with me here.
I thought I might have heard Mama go.
Sam, across that last crosswalk coming down, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be, standing on one of the first streets we ever had. People used to live here. Obviously, I've already mentioned that to Sam to explain why she knows I've seen the word barrel. I have a full list of residents of every person that's ever lived out here. That's why I asked you guys for names. Now, the names I commonly get out of this location are Benjamin and John. It's not the two very common names, and I told you I have a full list. Of course, there might be a Benjamin and John on there, but don't be too impressed. That list is not very long. Only 2 to 5 people live out here at any one given time. Benjamin and John were 2 out of 5 people that live here in each single one. So, I get their names every 6 to 7 weeks. We're in week 4 or 5 of that week, so to speak. So, I wasn't expecting anybody to give me the names Benjamin and John. Now, there were 4 different Johns that lived here in a 60-year time frame. John likes to give us his last name so we can clarify which one it actually is. John Johnson is one of his full names. So we'll get John Johnson and Ben, or Benjamin, all in the same night within that 6 to 7 week part of the week. Here's why I think that's happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These are made straight of granite. You guys all seem like you're somewhat into the paranormal. You've heard the term limestone before. It's supposed to stir up activity because it comes straight from the earth. Limestone doesn't hold any electromagnetic field balance to it at all, and neither does granite. Shannon, at this point, I want you to take your device and literally lay it on the ground and tell me if your red numbers give you anything. We're going to leave it there for just a minute or two to see if it actually grows. So,
8, 7, 9, 9, 1, 2. Bouncing around 9.
Okay, right around 9. You do that and take it out so you don't have to stay on the floor. We're not supposed to have any of that fuel coming out. It would normally only go to 1.1, max of 1 meter. So again, last night we didn't get anything at all. Tonight, obviously, you just gave me 8 to 9. A couple of minutes ago, we got it all the way up to 15. So what's happening here is what we call the stone tape theory. That these bricks, which have been laid here since 1739, are hanging on to the consciousness and the memories of everything that's happened here, and then spitting it back to us in the names of basically the movement. So that's why we're here. Every 6 to 7 weeks. I don't know the specific moon phase or whatever the case might be. I can't seem to pinpoint the exact date of why we're getting those same names, or why now all of a sudden I decided I want to start measuring the bricks to see if we can get anything out of them. We're not supposed to have anything out of them. So it's called the stone tape theory. Take it for what it's worth. Again, you can check all of my data because it's laid up on my website for an entire year. You can actually trace back Benjamin and John every 6 to 7 weeks. You'll see the same names start to occur. That's what I'm looking for, and they just happen. So, with that said, before people lived here, the Freemasons had the Masonic Lodge here, hence the name Lodge House. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, including the word symbols, Mason, brick, and the word Illuminati. Love to show up on the 2 red spirit boxes. $20. Okay? That'd be more interesting than but what's interesting about the word Illuminati is, first off, who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio?
Me.
Except for London. And the second reason is, why am I only hearing the call for in this space? 6 times last year, 3 times so far this year. It's been in this space 5 times on record spirit box live. So take that for what it's worth. I do believe there is location for just a few minutes. Clear the lane of where we're going to go next. We're going to another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through. Why am I listening?
Because Dad got kicked out.
However, it is a very popular sports spot. Of course, I'm going to tell you how I got kicked out because I was already over here regretting like I think that's why. But at the same time, it's considered residential on the end. That's wrong, but I still like to tell you that story because it's relevant for a completion after that. And it does stir up a ton of activity by me telling the story outside the alley. Of course, I'm going to tell it to you a lot differently than all of the other sports when we get to the more popular areas now. Obviously, it seems to be unpopular spaces, but you're going to see those much larger corridors with tons of people or more.
You see those 3 people at the end, right? Yeah, just I'm not tripping. Sorry.
So, as we cut through this alley, residential neighborhood, those video cameras will be stopped at the end of the alley. We're not going to record in the neighborhood. The lasers are obviously at the game, on that, and obviously that's what we're talking about.
No. Okay.
Well, I think that's going to take that around. Thank you for the first part of the story.
Thank you.
I'm not going to confirm that, but it's not a good concept. It's already written down. All right, let's head up to the next alley so we can see if we can go find it there.
I would ask for you
I think my kid's dead. I had 2%. Cancer family surgery.
When we get to the end of the alley, turn off the camera. Don't turn it off, but you know what I mean.
Just stop the video.
Yeah.
Is this where you need the flashlight?
Trying not to trip and die. Guys, there's water in the middle. Why is Baby Got Back popping in my head? This song, Baby Got Back, it popped in my head because
Did you want me to stop it now?
yeah.
Glenn's so used to being up here with me, so, but yeah, very discreetly. What's going on with that fire? So let's get it plugged back in so we don't lose battery.
But the sound center of attention to that.
Alright, so, welcome to Philadelphia Alley. Did you hear anything on yours along the way?
I've been getting a lot of like rap and rock and roll and everything, but as soon as we got to the end of the alley, in front of that White House, like classical music was busting through.
Very interesting. Very, very
And I
interesting.
haven't had any classical music come through tonight except for that
Except for
one
that
spot.
one spot. Did you take a chance by unmuting yours along the way here? Okay. And then you guys already told me what you heard, and you and I were chatting, so I'm sure you missed whatever was going on there. Alright, so Philadelphia Alley. That's what we know by now, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels for the city of Charlestown actually used to occur. We all tell the story of one specific duel because we can actually prove that it occurred. But I'm going to tell you, again, a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. You're going to get a lot of different details than you would from the other ghost tours, just so you know. But this case, nobody done it. And they're just singing along, aren't they? There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married. That doesn't make any sense, now does it? He's supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda back home in Rhode Island, because she just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So the doctor comes to Charleston to prove that he's not just after Amanda's money. As he's coming into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start until they stay in Charleston. There's somebody walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. R.I. will show up here often, but we need a secondary clue because that's two main characters of the tale, so that way we know who it actually belongs to. So Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street that you can rent a room from, and you'll be good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and they become friends. The longer the doctor starts to stay in Charleston, the more his practice begins to take off. He's making his own money now. He's doing pretty well. That means Amanda's moving down soon. I know, history's boring. I'm so sorry. So, I call out yawns every time, just so you guys know. But at any rate, so Amanda's moving down soon, and the doctor becomes known as the whistling doctor because he whistles all the time. And it's a very cliched thing, and every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. I can guarantee it. But we actually have proof of whistling. Let's continue on. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's just kind of the hierarchy. He gets better seats. Now, they're arguing one night after going to see William III from Shakespeare. The doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic, but Ralph, not so much. Once they start arguing, Ralph starts consulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets really ugly, and they go their separate ways. So Ralph goes to his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this nasty ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just needed the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. So Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, Joel. He puts it in the kneecap. You just have to be the guy in front of me. It's not going to kill a lady. It's not going to happen. But he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor drops to the ground. He's picked up by his friends. He's carried back home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So, the campfire part of this story says, as you're walking through this alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. I will tell you, over here, some of you on your spirit boxes, and especially the one that's recording, we will get songs that have whistling in it, and last night somebody heard the term the whistler on their spirit box. before I told them the name of the actual story, The Whistling Doctor. It was very, very cool. But as far as hearing whistles and songs, Maroon 5, the Moves Like Jagger, that song, Stop Singing So I Don't Have Your Songs in My Head. And then the Guns N' Roses song, Patience, that will show up here a lot too, because obviously there's a lot of whistling in that. So again, the word whistle will show up here, but there is a ton of clues from this story. So shot, duel, back to back. That came up here last night. 59, based on the address of the doctor. Anything relatable to medicine obviously shows up. Bled out, bullet, all of these weird terms. Now, we are going to be relatively close to this location through the rest of our evening. We will get clues to this space that will bleed over from here to there, kind of, throughout the rest of the night. If you're going to go down there with your own voice recorders to test out the whistles for yourself, keep in mind every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night, whether London's here or not, as we pass the alley, because our garage is literally right there. So as we pass it, we always throw a whistle just for shits and giggles, because we can't go down there anymore. So let's find out why. Yeah, that's the good part. So the other side of this alley didn't always come all the way through, by the way. So there was a wall down here on this end, which means the bricks on the other side are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. Full handprint fingerprint swipes on those bricks. So I treat those bricks the exact same way I treat a grave. You're not going to get a whole lot of activity out of it because that kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. However, November 26th of 2020, my entire group decides they're going to huddle around the brick with the handprints and they're going to try to get a reading out of it. Well, it's outside of a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. And I was not supposed to be there. He came out screaming. London thought it was fantastic because Dad's getting yelled at. And we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving, November 27th of 2020. I did not have a tour. The next day was November 28th. Joel's like, what's good all the dates? Yes, they make sense. November 28th of 2020, I get a phone call asking me to either go down halfway, like what we're allowed to go, or to reroute. I decide I'm going to reroute because it's not fair to my team to try to investigate a small space that way. I tell my team we're going to wing it because I don't even believe in this pirate story anyway. But before we leave, somebody hears her name Anne on a spirit box. I'm like, okay, maybe we'll figure something out. But I did not tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. When I get there and I told them what little bit I did know about Anne Bonny, somebody else hears the number 300. I don't know what that means until I research it the next day. We are there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep taking you guys back there night after night. I'm going to tell you right now it is a hit or miss location. The Pinckney Mansion and the Powder Magazine are our two biggest locations for our investigation. And the Pinckney Mansion for us tonight was actually pretty weak. So I'm just putting it out there. We did not find much in real time. I'm hoping to capture more as I go through your data in the morning. But the Powder Magazine, again, it's a hit or miss. We'll know within 5 minutes after we're done talking about the history if we're going to get anything at all from that location. So we'll either keep going or wrap it up pretty quickly like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion. There are places to sit up there so you guys will be able to get to chill and relax because this pirate story is a little lengthy. This is pirate lore. I told you there's no myths and legends here. I had to read a shit ton of books about pirates so that way I can find as much factual data as I possibly could so we can go off of real data here. So let's go learn about pirates. We're going to go up one more block and make a left and dive into that Powder Magazine lot so that way we can actually get some seats out of this humidity. Is that fair? All right, anything weird coming up out of your spirit boxes before we leave?
Mine spikes that was like a lot of red and thawed, and then like almost back to back with a cold cross up and down.
The word God is because we are going to get a lot of religious terms on this back half of the tour because of the St. Philip Church. It happens pretty much on a nightly basis, just so you know. Anybody else hearing anything? Kelsea, I know yours is muted, but you can unmute it as we start walking. And I think you had your earbud out, correct? Okay, perfect. All right, let's get up there. Yeah, you can keep them on or you can turn them off. It's up to you. You never know what's actually going to pop up. So, yeah. You're still recording? Good.
Yep. Anything weird with you? Not yet. I kind of hold off on some of my questions.
What? Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got
I like your outfits.
Thank you.
I like them.
And he didn't fall.
see that? That tampon